What's the deal, YouTube? It's your boy NextGen720, and I am back with another video. So lately, Sony has released a statement saying that the PlayStation 4 is now the home for the shooters. At the Halo 5 is what it grossed over $400 million last week. I find that very hard to believe. But anyway, this story is not about Sony and what they're saying that the PlayStation 4 is now the home for the shooters. Which I doubt that very seriously. First of all, Xbox Live rules all. Secondly, this controller here, just be honest, with these thumbsticks, it's not really made for shooters. Too close together. Here, you have the perfect design. Especially now with the new Elite controller. Awesome. Anyway, but enough of that. So, I'm going to leave the link down below. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 for the PlayStation 4 is now also using what you call a dynamic resolution, which means that when there's a lot going on the screen, it will slightly dip below native 1080p, so the frame rate doesn't take a hit. And I will leave the link down below. You guys can check out the frame rate test. But during the campaign, basically, it's locked in around 60. During the cutscenes, it drops down to 30. During the multiplayer, the lowest I've seen it drop down to was about 45. A lot better than last year. Last year, I think it dropped all the way down to 28 frames per second because Sony had to have that, that native 1080p. And like I said, this is smart by Sony, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, because you can't tell when the resolution takes a dip, but you damn sure can tell when the frame rate takes a dip. And so they took on the page from Microsoft book and started to go with the dynamic resolution. I mean, now, I know you guys always have so much to say about when Microsoft does it. You know what I mean? Now that Sony's doing it, what are you guys going to say? Frame rate over resolution? What are you going to say now? Because a lot of you guys are so, you're hypocrites, man. You know what I mean? Like, first, 900p is non-acceptable. But when Sony has a game 900p, it's cool. You see where I'm going with this? It's not that I care so much about frame rates or resolution. If I did, trust me, I will game one PC. I'm just like to point out how hypocritical you guys are, because one minute you say one thing, and then the next minute you say something else. You know what I mean? Dynamic resolution was no good for Microsoft when they did it for The Witcher. You had something to say about that. Dynamic resolution was no good for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. You know what I mean? Which Call of Duty last year ran better on the Xbox One. That frame rate on the PS4 is horrible. Here's the problem, though. Why Sony has frame rate issues with a lot of their games. And because the first thing they're trying to shoot this whole 1080p thing in. And the PS4 CPU was very anemic. Very, very anemic. I'm not saying that the Xbox One has a nuclear bomb for CPU, but it's more capable than the PlayStation 4, and it's overclocked. And the second thing is, a lot of you guys may not know, is that the fact that Sony decided to go with GDDR5 RAM, which does wonders for your GPU, but causes latency on your CPU. That's how you have a lot of bottlenecks when it comes with the PlayStation 4. You know what I mean? A lot of you guys didn't know that either. Look it up for yourself. It's not something I'm just making up. GDDR5 causes latency for your CPU. Like I said, it's great for your GPU, but causes latency for the CPU on the CPU. You know what I mean? Whereas Microsoft overclocked their CPU. You know, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. And like I said, I might take my hat off to Sony, though. I hope they would do this for majority of the games. Like, come on, because being honest, you can't tell once a game drops in resolution. You can't. You know what I mean? Both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 upscalers. You know what I mean? You can't tell. Or, oh my God, that's 792p or that's 790. You don't know. You don't know. I mean, I'm just being, I can't tell the difference between 900p, 1080p. I can't. You know what I mean? I've never seen someone. Trust me. I buy a brand new TV at least every 2 years. I've never seen a 900p TV on the market. Never. Never. You have never seen what I mean? So they're all upscaled. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day. But what I'm saying, but it's neither here nor there. Like I said, I like to take my hat off to Sony and congratulate them and say, stop thinking outside the box. Now let's get down to say this, that the PlayStation 4 is the home to the shooters. No. I don't agree with, you know what I mean? But which is crazy as hell, you know what I mean? I said a lot of you Sony fans were jumping up and down because the reason why you quote unquote dislike the Xbox because it was a dude bro shooter. You know, it was this dude bro console, you know, for shooters and sports. And now your Sony fans are now jumping up and down praising shooters, you know, saying that they're the best thing to slice bread. But here's the thing, I'm being honest with me. This is why I don't like to play shooters on the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation console period. Because of the thumbsticks. They're too close together. I mean, I don't like it. You know what I mean? I like, here is the perfect fit. You got one here, one down here. It doesn't feel like my thumbs are about to tongue kiss. You know what I mean? It's like, this feels it doesn't feel natural. The way the Microsoft has some, you know, set, to me is perfect. You know what I mean? And then second, like I said, you have Xbox Live. Xbox Live is second to none. You know what I mean? When it comes to online play, you know what I mean? Dedicated servers. You know, here you have Sony with their biggest IP to date for us, a PlayStation 4 Uncharted 4, and they're using peer-to-peer servers. You know what I mean? No good. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. How do you feel about Sony using a dynamic resolution for Black Ops 3? This is a make or break deal for you. Using the same thing that Microsoft is using for the Xbox One version. Is it a make or break situation for you? To me, like I said, you know, the frame rate is the most important thing. Now, honestly, I have no interest in getting Call of Duty whatsoever. It's not for me. Until Activision changes that engine, I will not be buying a Call of Duty game because it's the same goddamn game every year. They have to change the engine. You know what I mean? And they're not going to really change this engine until they start, you know, start cross-developing. You know what I mean? Letting the game be on the PS3 and the 360. That needs to die. When we get a true next-generation Call of Duty that's on next-generation consoles only, then maybe I might pick it up. And until then, I want no parts of it. Not knocking those who like it, but tell me what's the difference between Black Ops 3 and Advanced War? What's the same goddamn game? It's the same engine. Same game. Same game. Nothing's changed. Same shit. You know what I mean? And I need something new. I need something fresh. Like I said, I was looking at a little while of the campaign. Campaign looked cool. You know, I like the fact that they do got co-op now in the campaign. And if I was to buy it, that would be for the owner. It's just to run through the campaign co-op. Yeah, which looked kind of slick. But other than that, nah. Also, too, like I said, on the campaign, it stayed about 60 frames per second, but the cutscenes are 30 frames per second, if that means anything for you. But the biggest news here is that they're using a dynamic resolution. I will leave a link down below. You guys can check out the video for yourself and let me know what you're saying. And also, too, on the multiplayer, I seen them drop it's a little short clip. I seen the PlayStation 4 version drop down to about 40, 45 FPS per second. You know what I mean? Which it's not that bad. A lot better than last year. Last year's shit, it dropped down to 22 at one point, 28, 30. Like, man, I don't think it ever hit 60. I mean, that was horrible. That was, you know, all for the fact that they had to have, quote unquote, 1080p. Now, I hope, like I said, going forward, now I hope Sony keeps this approach, you know what I mean? Because, being honest, the resolution is not the most important thing. It's the frames per second, you know what I mean? And then you gotta be 1080p 30. Let it be 900p 60 any day of the week. And it'll be a much smoother gaming experience all across the board. So if it can't be 900p 60, let it be 720p 60. You understand what I'm saying? Because your console is going to upscale it anyway. That's the most important thing to me. You know what I mean? How do you guys feel? Would you rather some of these games be 1080p 30 or 900p 60? Think about that. I'd take 900p 60 any day of the week. I would even take, if it can't be 900p 60, I'd take 720p 60 over 1080p 30. Just to be real talk, you know what I mean? That's frames are the most important thing, you know what I mean? But I was just a little shocked by this. Hasn't been like so much talk about the resolution, but I just found this out. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the link down below. You guys can check out the video yourself. And now this is no shade. This is no at Sony. I just don't buy that gamers are now the shooter. This is the shooter for console for shooters. I ain't going with that. But anyway, this is your boy Next Gen 720. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Bang bang.